Hey everybody, welcome to the show.
I'm Ruth.
I'm Cory.
This is the Ruth and Cory Show.
That was cool. Hey everybody, you might notice that I'm using a different bowl today. Yes, this is a frosted crystal singing bowl. Just so happens our topic today in episode 3 of Spiritual Technologies in the Bible is crystals. So I thought, what better way to start the show off than with a frosted crystal singing bowl? And they sound awesome. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. I agree. And being out here in nature, Cory, is just amazing.
Yeah.
We have a few fairies in the background, and then I found out he had a little fairy statue in there, and the flowers, and yeah, so it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So welcome in, everyone.
Welcome.
We are excited to talk about crystals.
I love crystals.
Where did you want to start today?
Well, I actually wanted to start with me.
Okay. Let's do
I just
that.
wanted to tell a story, actually. So, crystals, man, rocks. Where do I go with this? Oh yeah, that's where I go. So, if my mom was still with us, I know she's here, but if she was still with us and was talking on this podcast as well, she would tell you that if you were to take Cory as a little boy and empty all of his pockets, I guarantee you're going to find a rock. I was picking up rocks wherever we went. I had pockets full of rocks. I loved rocks, even as a small child. Now, if you ask my wife the same question today, she'd agree and say the same thing. I've got rocks stashed all over my house, and originally it was not anything to do with any metaphysical. I just loved rocks.
Yes.
And on top of that, I've been tumbling and polishing rocks for decades.
Wow.
So I have tons of polished and tumbled rocks all over the house just because I loved the way they looked.
Wow.
Not every, I'm going to take that back because that's a bad way to start this sentence. Most of the rocks that I have, I can probably tell you at least 85% of them where I got them from.
Wow.
And that's how meaningful they were to me. I can go inside and just find a small rock, and I can tell you where I picked it. I mean, there's one that I have that sits on the dash of my truck, and that was one I actually found in an intersection on the road. I was taking Sophie to gymnastics, and there was this small pile of rocks in the road, and I noticed this orange one. I was like, that one's going home with me, Sophie. She said, no, Dad, no. Okay, all right, we'll go to gymnastics. So I dropped her off at gymnastics, and on my way back, I stopped, went out into the middle of the road, picked this rock up, put it in my truck. Then I brought it home and tumbled it. And now it's a beautiful, shiny stone that sits on the dash of my truck.
Wow.
I've got another one that I know that I picked up from a parking lot of a hotel when I was in, down by Fort Chaffee, near Fort Chaffee, Arkansas.
Wow.
I was there for a friend in need, and it was the day I was leaving. I walked out into the parking lot, and there's another orange stone. I'm picking up a trend.
Interesting.
It was just a small orange stone, and I picked it up and brought it with me. And I can go upstairs and find it and tell you exactly where it came from. I've got rocks that I've gotten in Costa Rica.
Wow.
I've gotten rocks from Germany. I've gotten rocks from Korea.
Wow.
I've got rocks from about good dozen or so states, and these are all ones that I collected myself, and it doesn't include the ones that I've ordered online.
So do you feel that these stones sort of choose you, or how do you feel like certain rocks resonate with you? Because I'm sure our listeners and our community have stones and rocks that they just feel drawn to, but might not know why they pick these things up.
That's a good question. I totally agree with you, and there's actually two aspects to that question. One, yes, I believe that there are instances where a stone will choose you because you need it.
Interesting.
And you don't realize that the stone is choosing you, but suddenly you're just drawn to this stone, right? I've discovered a technique lately within the past couple of years where I can actually run my hand over a group of stones. Like I need to pick something out for you for a specific purpose. Okay. I can run my hand over the stones, and my hand will stop on the one that you need. I just pick it up, shut my eyes, and just pick it up. Here, this is the one you need. Let's clear it. Now you can go on your way.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's one aspect of it. The other aspect that I found that has been very interesting and has gotten very important for me lately is asking permission to take the stone. So you may see a stone laying on the ground and it may look beautiful and you're like, oh, I gotta have that. Well, you better ask that stone if you're allowed to take it, because it may not be for you. So that's and that asking goes along with a lot of things in nature. Before you cut a tree down,
You ask it.
you better ask
Before you
it.
pick flowers.
Before you pick flowers, you better ask them. And it's very important, because that does set the vibrational energy for what you bring into your home or what you give to somebody else.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Very good point. So you talk a little bit about how it really jumped out at me how you talked about you might need that stone. What is it about a stone that someone might need?
Oh
Can you
my
give
gosh.
certain examples?
Sure. Yeah. In fact, we've got some right here. Funny you should ask that, Ruth, because we've got some stones right here. Okay. So let's talk about these ones that we've got right here. Now, you've got one up there, and I've got several up here. Let's talk about the one that's closest to you. This right here. I think you and I discovered these together. Well, you and I discovered them at the same time when we were at the crystal shop in Haymarket, right?
Yes.
And this is actually called a prophecy stone. Let's see if I can get a better shot of that. This is a prophecy stone. Really funky looking one. Odd shaped and yeah, really cool.
And this is mine.
Oh, there's yours. Yep. This is the one that I use when I'm doing my meditation. It stays downstairs on my altar. And this is the prophecy stone that I carry with me in my pocket at all times. So the prophecy stone was discovered in the early 1900s, late 1800s by a expedition financier in on the border of Egypt.
Was it Nigeria, Libya?
Libya, maybe?
Libya.
Yeah,
I think it was
somewhere
Libya.
in that border region. And he just found it, and he was holding one of the stones, kind of like, well, you know, hey, like I do. I found a stone, I just hold it and walk around. But he started meditating, and he found that he was seeing visions when he meditated holding this stone. So he named it the prophecy stone. So it's called a pseudomorph stone. And what that means is that it actually started out as a type of stone and then transitioned into another one through time. So the pseudomorph, the prophecy stone was actually, what was it called? It was marcasite and pyrite that then was, those elements were slowly replaced over time to limonite and hematite. So they end up as limonite and hematite
Okay.
after being marcasite and pyrite.
And this is hematite.
There's some
Pure
hematite. That stuff is gorgeous.
And it shines.
Yes.
So this is a blend of those, or
This is a
that's
blend, yes.
with this as part of the component.
Right, that's part of the component. Now what we don't have here is limonite, which would be the other part of the prophecy stone.
Right.
Yeah, very cool stuff. And actually hematite's kind of cool. I'll just talk about that real quick. Hematite, you can get it magnetic. You know it comes magnetic?
I've seen them.
Yeah, yeah, it actually comes as a magnetic stone. It's fun to play with.
Now with my prophecy stone, I actually take it during my meditation as well, and if I want to connect to my spirit guides, I oftentimes will get a vision of their feet, and I'll know that they come into my presence. I'll see their feet, and oftentimes ascended masters will come on the heels of this stone.
Okay.
Which is interesting that it's from Egypt in that ancient area as well, which I do have past lives connected to Egypt as well, so that could be why it's like a connection point for me there. So I really do like that prophecy
That's cool.
stone.
That's really cool. Okay.
I'll just see
Very
people's feet.
Coming at you.
Yes.
Okay, so that's prophecy stone. That's one that you could use. Now you've got a stone here. Do you want to talk about that one? And what is it, and what would you use it for?
Yeah, so this is sardonyx, and sardonyx is a blend of stones as well. And this is part of the stone used in the Bible, onyx, that's the black part. And then the white part is the part that makes it a sardonyx. I think it's like a crystal type stone that blends together. Most stones that come with a dark color, like my hematite or even the prophecy stone, but I wouldn't say the prophecy stone so much, even though it's very grounding, because it takes your energy in the etheric realm and grounds it to earth. So it protects you. They're often called protection stones. Would you say those darker ones?
I would agree. So you can take onyx and what's the other one? Obsidian.
Obsidian is a good one.
Yeah.
Tourmaline, black tourmaline.
Black tourmaline, yeah. And you put those above your doors on your door jambs, and they prevent negativity from entering your house.
And one of the reasons why is because crystals actually carry within them small energy pockets. And so those energy pockets can actually begin vibrating on what you need. And so that's why you're actually attracted to the energy in the stone, which can give you that balance to your own energy field. Did I make that clear?
You did, yeah, I understand that.
So they have actual energy. So when they're lying on the ground and you're drawn to it, it's because something in you is going to be balanced if you connect with it.
So I wonder, okay, and I'm just thinking out of the box here, and this just came to me. I wonder if it's a symbiotic relationship.
You mean like a host versus
maybe you're doing something for the stone as well.
It could be. It could be. Yes. Where it finds its balance.
Maybe it does.
Now, we could go ahead and... Are you able to get me that little box there,
Sure.
Cory? There are also certain stones. This is my chakra box. And we'll bring this out when we talk a little bit more about the crystals.
Ooh, I gotta get mine too. I'll be right back.
The crystals here in this box, I'll show it to you right here. And I'm missing the red jasper because I used it the other day because I needed to be grounded. And red jasper is actually, I have it in this one, but the red jasper is the most grounded one. And then we have the carnelian, which is for the different chakras in your system. We won't go over that. However, different stones, whenever I start the day and I have a necklace that I can put in different stones in it, or I'll choose different necklaces. One of my favorites is the green aventurine because it opens up the heart chakra. So that really balances my heart. I actually do not use clear quartz crystal a lot. To me, this is the most dangerous stone for my energy field because my energy, clear quartz, amethyst, sometimes they expand my energy because I'm more of the feminine energy, and there's a whole concept to divine feminine versus masculine energy. Anyway, I need more grounding stones because I am more femininely energized, which can be a little bit more expansive, emotional, etheric, energetically. I can be thinking all out in the astral realm, and so these can actually take me and expand, and I'm like thinking too much.
Oh my.
So it's very important that if there are some stones that maybe make you feel a certain way, that it's time to either cleanse them and clear them or simply balance them. I will only use them with a dark stone. And when I put this little crystal with this prophecy stone, I get woozy. I get woozy in my meditation, and I see very, very clearly. So, but some of you might want to see more clearly. Some of you might need to experience more energetic reactions to the fairies, the gnomes, and to experience it. So if you put little crystals that are clear to your spirit guides or whatever, it will help you connect with them. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, absolutely does. So it's interesting that you bring, I just wanted to go off of what you said. So I know some people are, I'm so scatterbrained, I can't control my thoughts, they're just all over the place, da, da, da. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, but grounding will seriously help that. And so you want to look for red stones, and it doesn't have to be specifically a jasper, or it doesn't have to be specifically a red cornelian. It could be any kind of red stone. And just to go off topic a little bit, when we're talking about grounding, it doesn't even have to be a stone. It can be a red shirt.
Yes.
It could be a red flower.
Yes.
You could go outside barefoot. Go out.
There we go.
See my funky feet. But you can go outside barefoot and ground, and that does help a lot of people with when they have the quote unquote scatterbrain.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So awesome. I was just gonna. You brought out your chakra crystals. I just wanted to show mine real quick.
Yes,
So I got.
yes.
I think I got these for Father's Day. So I've got the red one's happiness, orange for the sacral is trust. The yellow for the solar plexus says joy. Green for the heart says dream. Blue for the throat says hope. Purple for the third eye says relax. And the white or the quartz for the crown says peace. So I like to use those.
A lot of those clear ones are often used for peace and comfort and sleep. So you have to do what works for you.
Yes.
It could just be my energy field that doesn't respond well with the clear quartz.
That's something else that's a really good point to bring up when we're talking about these things too, Ruth, is that there's not a silver bullet. Mm-mm. There's not a one size fits all. This is not cookie cutter stuff. Everybody's going to react differently to a lot of different things. So maybe Ruth and I have a draw to clear quartz that helps us see better, or expands whatever it is that we're feeling. We're going to get into another stone in a minute that really expands what you're doing or feeling or seeing or experiencing. But it may not be the same for you. So messing with, I hate to use that word, but playing with different crystals and just being aware of how the subtle energy works with you and your body. And also there's a difference between using your right hand and left hand. If you're going to hold in your left hand, that means you're in receive mode. If you're holding in your right hand, that means you're in giving mode, or you're in internal mode and you're in external mode. So there's so many different avenues you can go down when you're talking about how you use the different crystals. But let's talk about this next one, which happens to be my absolute favorite. This is called moldavite, and I get a little bit closer. This is moldavite. Oh, this is perfect because I think the camera's picking up the translucent properties of it from the light. There we go. Oh yeah, gorgeous stone. Gorgeous stone. So first I'm going to talk about what is moldavite, how's it made. That's my favorite part. So moldavite comes from an area in the Czech Republic. I believe it's by a river called the Molda River. And this stuff was actually produced when a meteor exploded. I think about 25 million years ago, exploded above the ground, if I'm not mistaken. And the material from the meteor fused with the dirt on the ground of the earth at that time and vaporized. It turned into vapor. And so the vapors then went up into the atmosphere. They consolidated kind of like rain, and it started raining moldavite in this area. And so obviously it's a very limited stone. You're not going to find it forever. And when you do find it, it's very expensive. But the properties of the moldavite are fantastic. So the reason that I hold on to the moldavite is for the reason that Ruth was talking about the clear quartz. It expands what she's doing, seeing, feeling, experiencing, hearing. Moldavite does that times 1,000. In fact, Sonia, my wife, when I got this, she held it in her left hand and she just felt a shock go right up her hand. She had to put it down. She couldn't handle holding it. I haven't had that experience yet, and I love holding my moldavite. And then it not only amplifies your spiritual and emotional body, but when you combine it with other crystals, this is an amethyst. So if I need super healing, I put them together, and the moldavite tends to then expand the healing properties of the. Which one is that?
I have moldavite as well.
Yeah.
And this is with labradite.
Labradite.
I think it's called.
Yep, labradite.
And this is actually a very grounding stone for me, but it's very authentic. That gives me the authentic vibe.
Yes.
But I also feel very safe when I wear this.
Oh, and that would make sense for you because you need the grounding.
I do.
And the moldavite is definitely going to help you with the grounding. I didn't realize you were wearing moldavite. I didn't look at that close enough.
Yes,
Very cool.
Yes, yes. So you might be able to see that in the sun there. But yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Now, what can we recommend to people to go out and choose stones? Do you recommend, so I have actually had the recommendation sometimes, you want to actually go and physically look at a shop and choose stones where you feel. But some stones I've actually ordered online.
Yeah.
And I do sometimes feel that you can sense it and trust that what will come to you will be the right one. But what do you recommend?
So, for me, it depends on what I want to use the stones for. So I order stones online, but I order them in bulk, and that's so I can tumble them and polish them and just have them around. You know, I do that with amethyst. I do that with rose quartz. I've had a bulk. I think I get them in like 1 or 2 pound bags.
Okay.
Lapis lazuli, some others that I just, and it takes a month to tumble them. I do it the slow way. And so throw them in the tumbler, change them out every week to different grits, and then at the end of the time, I've got these beautifully polished, shined stones. Now, whether they're actually what they said they were, in that case, I don't care. I just love the way they look. That's it. If I'm going to use a stone for a specific purpose when it comes to a metaphysical situation, then I will go to a reputable store, and that way I can put my hand over the stone and determine whether it's authentic or not.
Good. That makes sense to me. And cleansing stones. So each stone has an energy. They have microscopic energy pockets within them, which then make them susceptible to the energy around them. So if the stone's in a crystal shop, it's going to be catching up on a lot of energy, but it still maintains some sort of energy of itself. So a lot of people recommend to cleanse them, connect them. What would you recommend?
Oh
for
man,
that?
so that's a great question. And if you go online and Google how to clear and cleanse and charge stones, you're gonna get dozens of ways to do it. And you know what? None of them are wrong. I just put it that way. What I have found works for me is I will put the stones that I carry on a daily basis. I just put them on my windowsill and let the moonlight cleanse them and charge them. Or even right now, sitting in the sun, these stones are being cleansed and charged.
Can I interject there?
Yes.
So this is going back to my learning about esoteric history and how the sun and the moon actually represent physical realities of the higher cosmic planes. So when you put them in the sun, the higher dimension of the sun is divine creator, and the higher dimension of the moon is cosmic forces, including angels. And so one is masculine, one's feminine, and it's two streams. So when you said I put them in the moon or in the sun, you're not just putting them in a physical 3D reality, you're actually connecting them to the forces that come through those realities to us. So from the higher dimensions, as above, so below.
As above, so below.
So I thought that was interesting.
That is very interesting. So let's do this. I'll show you how I cleanse stones. Now, I'd like you to take this stone and just hold it. Now, by holding that stone, you are putting your energy into it, right? Now, and it's also benefiting you, by the way, just by holding it. That's actually called a golden healer quartz. It's a golden healer quartz, and that piece is now absorbing Ruth's energy. So she's going to hand it back to me, and I'm not going to hand it to anybody else. Why would I do that? Because it's got Ruth's energy on it. So I'll show you what else I do. With my intention, I clear this quartz crystal and charge it with all the energy of love and light. There you go. It's done. Now I can hand it to somebody else. My point is this. all of the ways that you're going to read about how to clear and charge crystals online, or anything, your house, anything else, your garden, your lawn, whatever, your dog, whatever you want to clear and charge, it's all about your intention. It is all about intention. And the best thing to do, to do for you, is to choose what resonates with you. So read through a couple dozen ways on how to clear and charge. Which one resonates with you? And the one that resonates with me is just by using my intention.
My favorite is to simply blow on it. It's like my breath infuses, maybe it's because I'm from a Christian background, and the breath of God or the wind of the Spirit, to me, that just, your mind, together we're connected, and it's so hilarious. But and I, like you do, I actually, because we are a human battery, our bodies, output is the right, they talk about the right hand of God, output, and the left hand receives. Mm-hmm. And so, just connecting it into your hands can actually connect it to your
That's excellent
space
point.
as well.
None of it wrong. None of it.
That's how it works for you.
Yeah. So
I put them in salt sometimes. If I feel they've come into negative energy, you do want to cleanse it and then feel it again, or feel into and I'm saying negative energy. Like, let's say it was somewhere where it was with somebody who had a bad attitude and they were just nasty. You really want to make sure that you do spend maybe a little bit extra time.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But they want balance. So if you're more balanced than the other person, it's okay. They're going to come to balance. They're looking for harmony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good point. Excellent point. So I'm going to move on to this next stone. I think this one my oldest daughter got me, and this is really nothing more than a cluster of clear quartz crystals that's been electroplated with a vaporized metal. I don't recall the particular metal this one was vaporized with. I want to say it was like nickel, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's done through a process called, I'm going to read it, called vacuum disposition process, or vaporized metal. And so it's just a thin layer of metal that's put onto this, done inside a vacuum. Pretty cool looking. It's obviously not natural this way, but the concept of infusing a metal with a crystal, specifically nickel, I don't remember what nickel properties are. I'd have to look that up again. Mm-hmm. But obviously the clear quartz properties are well known in terms of...
That has a very strong energy when I'm sitting here. That is the energy that's like... whoosh.
That's it.
Yeah, that one is definitely...
and it's sitting right by another golden quartz healer.
Yeah, and the crystal.
A moldavite piece and the quartz crystal. There's a whole lot going on right here. I'll just tell you that right now. So the last two that I have up here, these are actually come in sets, and these are called Moki marbles, and they come in sets. And you can see one is a sphere, and the other's kind of like a pancake. Now they come in different shapes, but generally you're going to find one that is more spherical and one that is a little bit more flat. And they actually come as male and female pairs. This is the female, the smaller one. This is the male, the more cylindrical one. So they were named after the Mokai Indians, also known as the Hopi. I think they were Hopi. Mm-hmm. They were Hopi?
Yes, the Hopi.
Yeah, Hopi. They are, again, I'm going to just read this. The description of them, what physically, what are they? Well, they're small. They're iron oxide and sandstone. So, for example, if you were to cut this open, you would see that this is an iron oxide outside cover. On the inside is sandstone. Now the sandstone may be colored various shades of orange, red, and yellow because of the iron oxide, but that's what they are physically. So and they're also considered one of the most energetic stones on Earth. Now the reason that I have them, the reason that I like them, is because I enjoy the balance of the masculine and feminine energy. I tend to have a more masculine presence, and that keeps me well focused and grounded, but at the same time it inhibits a bit my creativity. So I like to be able to take on more of the divine feminine energy in order to increase my creativity. And that's why I think Ruth and I work so well together. I mean, she's no doubt high feminine energy, and I'm a complete opposite of a well-grounded masculine energy. And when we get together to do planning sessions, I'm just amazed at the stuff that comes up. It's fantastic stuff. We do good. And there's more to come. So those are the stones that we.
And you were sharing with me at the beginning of the show how they use the stones.
Oh.
You have to share that.
Okay. So in order to, when you use these stones, like if you're going to use them for meditating, you use the feminine stone, you put it on your crown, and the male stone you put down under your foot. Interestingly, that is kind of like Ruth was saying earlier, it creates a circuit. You've got the feminine and the masculine flowing up and down through your energy centers. And
bringing balance.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
So those are fun. I really enjoy those. But those also, these
now I have to
sit on my
ask,
altar
where
right
did
there.
you get those? Because I have a feeling people are going to want to know where you got the masculine feminine stone.
www.amazon.com.
Really?
Yes, I think it was Amazon.
On Amazon?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I don't really remember. It might have been Amazon. It might have been.
So you can do some research. They're called Moki.
Moki.
Moqui.
Right. Moki. What are they called? Moki marbles.
Moki marbles.
They come from Utah. They come from Utah. Right.
Sweet.
So let me just look in my bag real quick, because this is the bag of crystals. This is my bag of crystals that I take with me when I do sound baths. So I have one huge citrine crystal that I love to use. So it's the yellow that corresponds with the solar plexus energy center. This is your place of personal power. So when I'm doing a sound bath, sometimes I'll have to focus in on the energy of the room. What do we need? Sometimes it's heart-centered focus we need. Sometimes it's center of personal power that we need focus on. So I'll put that particular stone in the center of the crystal grid that I set up. I've got lots of red stones in here. I don't know, you can't really see it, so I apologize. Got moonstone, I've got rose quartz spheres, I got a big hunk of rose quartz, so I'll use that for the heart as well as sometimes I even use the moldavite. I've got some lapis lazuli that I like to use for the throat. This is one of my favorites too. This one's called dragon's. I call it dragon's blood, but I think it's called dragon stone. I call it dragon's blood because it's a green. It's a jasper. It's a combination of green and red jasper. It's got flecks. I don't know if you can see it because of the sun, but it's got flecks of red in it. Yeah, and this is actually one that I tumbled. I got it raw and then tumbled it, so that's why it's shined up. Let's see if there's anything else of real interest in here before we move on to our next subject. I do have one piece of clear citrine, and then I have a bunch of these longer quartz crystals, and these I'll use in the quartz grid and the crystal grid all around the edges. So I really like to charge up my grids. I just like to put all that out there. You know what? I made a mistake. Here's the lapis lazuli, and you can tell it's lapis lazuli. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on there because it's got pyrite in it. It's got veins of pyrite in it. Pretty cool stuff. Oh, guess what I found, Ruth? I found my magnetic hematite.
There we go. Look at that, how shiny that is.
I don't know if it's going to stick to anything here. I don't have anything metal. Oh, what about this spoon? Nope, that spoon's not. No, I don't have anything. Iron oxide? No, it doesn't. No, I don't have any. What about this? Nope.
No.
All right, it's not sticking to anything today.
That's pretty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. But yeah, I got a bunch of other ones in here. For example, this is just a piece of quartz. I'm not sure if it's smoky quartz or what, but this is just a piece I found in my backyard and tumbled.
Wow.
I found tons of crystal, quartz crystal in my backyard here.
In your backyard here?
Yes. A lot of this came from my backyard. This is opal. Well, it's interesting because the sun is in front of me and I can see it shining through this. You guys can't, but it looks gorgeous.
It is.
Oh, anyway, and then I got something else green here. I think aquamarine, I believe. I'm not quite sure, but I think that's aquamarine. So anyway, that's those are some of the crystals I use and keep around the house. You've seen some of the crystals that Ruth keeps with her. So I'd like to transition and talk about, I think that's what we're going to do next.
Yeah.
Right? So episode 3 here for Ruth's book, Spiritual Technologies in the Bible. And Ruth does talk a lot about crystals. There's a whole chapter 5, starting on page 61, that talks about different uses of crystals in the Bible. And so we wanted to start there. And I think the very first one is the crystals and divine messages. And this is where we talk about, well, I'll give the intro and then you can fill in with the details here, because I find this particular subject fascinating, absolutely fascinating, how much crystals are used in the Bible, but they're not really talked about. So in 1 Samuel 30 verses 7 and 8, King David desired a message from the divine and asked for the
ephod.
You pronounce it ephod. Okay.
Ephod
to be brought to him. He asked for the ephod to be brought to him, and he knew that in it was something special which connected humanity to the God of Israel. So talk about this ephod. What is it? Where did it come from? What was on it? Why did he want it? What's going on here in 1 Samuel 37 and 8?
No, that's a great question. The ephod was a shoulder plate that went with the breastplate for the high priest in the land of Israel. This was before Jesus came, so they were connected to Jehovah, and Jehovah was a spiritual being that actually helped guide them out of the false god mentality into a more spiritual, high vibration mentality, connecting to Creator. So Jehovah and Creator were definitely flowing together in the same vibration. Here, Jehovah gives them a blueprint of how to create a breastplate and then an ephod to go on the high priest. The high priest would then walk into the tabernacle where the presence of the divine would come down, and it was so great. It would look like a cloud or a mist, and it was just so full of beautiful divine energy. We call them today spirit chills or goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
When we talk about something that resonates with us. And it's also called the Shekinah glory. So the high priest would walk in there. Now on the ephod were onyx stones, which was a black type of protection stone. And then there were several stones, 12 different kinds of stones on the breastplate. They then took the names of the children of Israel, the tribe of Dan, the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and they etched them in the stones of the onyx stones up here and on the breastplate. And then the priest would walk around. So he would go into the tabernacle once a year, connect the stones to the vibration of the Shekinah glory, and those stones would vibrate with the presence of a higher cosmic awareness, a being, a divinity that humanity had never before known. And so this was a comfort to them. This was a familiar presence. And this high priest could walk around Israel and perform whatever functions he had to do. And the people saw him as a messenger from God, someone connected to God. But then the high priest got disconnected from the ephod. In the days of like King Saul, things kind of got messed up. And David as a shepherd boy, I don't know if I'm sure some of you do. You remember the story when King Saul began throwing javelins at David, got jealous because David was going to be the next king of Israel. So the energy of the nation began splitting politically. And King Saul got very mad at David, who was a warrior in his army, and actually began attacking some of the priests who were supporting. And so the political religious community split, and some of them who were not the high priest took the ephod that had been throughout the years and actually went with David, and the others went with Saul. So now there was no one actively wearing the ephod at this time. But the priests who guarded the ephod, they didn't consider themselves qualified. Some of them did use it, but it was sort of like crystals now, where anyone could connect to it. It was almost looking for harmony. It was looking for balance, just the way Cory puts his hand over a stone and I believe that's the same connection with David. Something in his heart knew this ephod had been in the cosmic presence and could get him to where he needed to be to hear a message from the divine. And so I believe it was a connection point between them. But a step further to that is that these stones actually harbored the energy of a divine being. And it was a connection point for him to hear through his heart space the voice of God.
Interesting. So let's talk about that from like a actual physical perspective for a moment. When the Shekinah glory, or what we would call the presence of God in the Holy of Holies, would come down, and this ephod and breastplate were being worn in that presence. Remember, God is a vibration. God is the true vibration of love, the highest vibration of love. Love is the highest vibration, which is God. And so these stones then would take on that vibration.
Yes.
And then they would have the ability then to provide whatever protection they needed to. And I guess that's why the names of the tribes were inscribed on them, in order for them to have that protection that was afforded them through that vibration, through that vibrational charging, so to speak.
Yeah, so it says here in the book that crystals are unique in their mineral composition, and they contain energy pockets. These pockets are like microscopic molecular centers that vibrate within the stone. And then the crystals have these structures. When the frequency in the crystal combines with the human's own energy field or their spirit, the frequency is amplified. So I believe that it gave them that. But I remember also there's a technology today where they can emit a special frequency, well-being, love. I actually have a friend, other than you as well, that they paid to have their name put into a specific vibration. And they said during that day, they felt amazing because that company would put the name, so I'm going to use my name, Ruth and Violet, and they would take that name and put it in that frequency machine. And that frequency would travel through time and space to my own energy field and give me a feeling of vibration and love.
Yeah, it travels through what's called subspace.
Subspace.
Yeah, that's what it is. And in my case, there was a gentleman who had this was for health, is what he did this for. But I had to provide full name, date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. And through subspace, this machine could then read my entire body. He was telling me things that I knew were wrong with me. I knew that I had these issues, not things that you can look at me and tell. And he was telling me, "Hey, you've got something going on with your heart." Yup, I do. Did you just recently have some dental work? I said, yeah, I just had a cap put on. I mean, he was telling me things that nobody else could have possibly have known, and especially not him. I mean, because this was just days after the dental work. It's not like he, hacked into the dental records of my local dentist, So, and then what this machine does is it identifies the frequency that body part needs in order to be back in harmony, and it provides that frequency to the body part or area or whatever to reharmonize it. Therefore, it puts it back at ease. and
so,
out of dis-ease.
Yes, dis-ease into that balance and harmony. So here is a stone that was actually, I believe, on the breastplate, sardonyx. But then the onyx part was the one that they used like this machine that Cory's talking about. They take their name, and of course all the tribes of Israel knew where they originated. They knew their Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They knew their time of birth. And so they would etch the names into that stone so that that frequency could then channel through the subspace to every person under the name of the tribe of Dan. So when Jehovah told Abraham, I will bless your seed to the ends of the earth, he did it using crystalline technology.
That's right.
He put their names into an onyx stone that carried his vibration, and every person connected, Ben Joseph, or, even all throughout the generations, they could tap into that frequency. If not, that frequency could possibly even affect them.
I'd even suggest that it was actually imprinted on the DNA and followed that way as well, so the frequency never left. It's still in us today.
Yes.
It's still in us today. It's the same.
Very much so.
Yeah, it continues to pass on. But the idea of using the crystal's frequency to do this, totally, absolutely legit.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
So let's talk next about page 62, which is Gemstones and Jesus, which is another one of my I love this. So this is Luke 19:37 through 40, and I'll just read it real quick, and then I'd like for you to talk about it. I want to see if your understanding of what happened here is similar to mine. Let's see. And when he was come nigh, even now at the descent of the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of disciples began to rejoice and praise God with a loud voice for all the mighty works that they had seen, saying, Blessed be the King that cometh in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest. Some of the Pharisees from among the multitude said to him, Master, rebuke thy disciples. And he answered and said unto them, I tell you, if I should hold their peace, the stones would immediately cry out. Ruth, how could the stones possibly cry out if Jesus were to rebuke and silence his disciples?
So Jerusalem was surrounded by, Jerusalem actually was the dwelling place, the city where the temple dwelt. And then eventually throughout the history where the tabernacle dwelt before that. So all of Jerusalem constantly was under, for lack of a better word, bombardment by the Shekinah glory. The rocks still vibrated with that Shekinah glory, with that anointing, with that frequency. And I believe that as Jesus walked toward the city, he had been endued with a divine cosmic being, the Christ. He's walking into Jerusalem, and we know that Christ is the creative power. Christ is what makes all of us live and move and have our being. Christ is the Christ consciousness where we live. And so Christ had actually more fully come into Jesus. He walks down the mountain, and the same rocks that carried, that knew the Shekinah glory for 1,000 to 2,000 years, actually had a divine encounter with what I feel was a divine cosmic being within Jesus, who he embodied. And that's why the people began crying out with a loud voice. They shocked the religious people. They weren't used to this kind of unruly conduct of just praising God, not even Jesus, praising Creator. And then the people caught the vibration, and he says, no, there's some sort of spiritual being, some sort of cosmic ritual happening here, that the very stones would actually, and when they say cry out, it is a metaphor, but it's saying they would explode, like they would possibly move and vibrate. It was an expression to say something here is so powerful that you can't see it.
The amplitude and the way that I read that is that the amplitude of the vibration that's already happening in those stones would significantly increase to the point where those stones were making noise.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
I love that one.
But even that, oh, I just thought of something. The rocks would cry out.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal bowls. This is crystal.
Yeah.
They might even start humming.
That's the noise that I think that they would start to make. The stones would start to hum because the amplitude of their vibration increased so high with the Christ walking near them.
Yes.
If the people weren't doing it, then if the people were to go silent, you would have heard the rocks humming.
Wow.
That's what I believe.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really do like that.
Otherwise, and this is not a dig whatsoever. Otherwise, how do you take that? You know, when you read that in the Bible, when you read verse 40, and the stones would cry out. Really, dude?
Yeah, like what does that mean?
What does that mean?
When have stones ever cried out?
Whenever have stones cried out? And I would be also very interested in going back and doing the direct translation from Aramaic into English and not through Greek, Hebrew, and whatever other translations. Just see what it says. You know, we can go into more of that translation stuff later.
I like
especially with the Lord's Prayer. But anyway, that's another story because it does talk about vibration and frequency. So when I hear things, whenever I heard things like that in the Bible, it was always, you know, and the rocks would cry out. Mom, what does that mean that the rocks would cry out? Well, son, we just have to believe that the rocks would actually cry out. I'm like, you mean like with a mouth?
Right.
Or
what would they say?
What would they say? Or what kind of noise would they make? You know, no, none of those answers. But let's think about this from a spiritual perspective. You had the Son of God. Like you said, Jesus had then been infused with the Christ consciousness at that point. He was a high viber right then. And I have a feeling that anything around him, including people and stones, the amplitude of your natural vibration was just going to skyrocket. Mm-hmm. And that's why people were praising him so much. They just felt that Christ consciousness in them, and it was causing them to react that way.
Yes.
Same as the stones. The amplitude of those stones' vibrations got so high that you would have put your ear up to it, and you could, just like this, you would hear it hum. That's what was happening with the stones, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So thank you for your explanation on that. I loved that part in your book. It was awesome to read that. The final part about concerning crystals in your book is another one of my absolute favorites. And if you're still kind of skeptical, I can't help cynical, but if you're still kind of skeptical about whether crystals actually played a part in spirituality, then let's talk about crystals and the New Jerusalem. So I'll just read this beginning part, and then we should look into this one pretty deeply. So it does say in the book of Revelation. Now I will say, in my opinion, I believe Revelations, just like the creation story in Genesis, is a metaphor. I think you told me that a couple days ago, actually. I believe it's a metaphor. I don't take it literally. I don't take all of it literally. Mm-hmm. It's got to be looked at in terms of a metaphor as well. So in the book of Revelations is a description of the New Jerusalem. So, and Ruth goes on to say here, take a look at the crystals that form the city and compare them to the crystals in the frequency chart in Appendix D. So what I'd like to do here, well, first of all, I'd just like you to explain that a little bit. And then what I'll do is we'll talk about each crystal. I'll look at the Appendix D as you go through each crystal, and we can talk about it that way. So just give us some background on this. Where, you know, what are we talking about here?
So there was a prophet in the Bible that was taken up and saw a vision of what some people call heaven, but I like to call it New Jerusalem. And esoteric Christianity actually teaches us that it's going to be the new earth in its full and complete form several thousand years from now. And it's going to be us in our true 5D living, and possibly 6D, 7D. So dimensions. So I'm talking about a space in reality where we actually become less materialistic and become more spiritual. But he didn't have ways to see that. So when he actually began looking at this through the vision, he saw it through a physical reality of stones that carried the vibrations that is going to be in a little bit more of a spiritual type of environment. And that's a little bit hard to explain. We'll go into that another time.
Okay.
But he was seeing a vision of a reality that's probably one step up from our three-dimensional life. And the way the reality was presented to him is he saw a great and a high, he was carried away in his vision, and he stood on a great and high mountain, and he saw the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone. And it was clear as crystal. It had a wall, and it had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. And it talks about all the different gates, and then the gates were made of pearl, and then the building of the wall was jasper, the city was pure gold, and the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished in all precious stones. And then it talks about the layers of the different stones, and that's where we would compare it to the chart.
Okay, so in the chart, we'll just start off with we'll go from the top to the bottom here, and I think what this means is the very top one on this chart is the bottom layer of the wall.
Yes.
Okay, so we're actually going to go from we're going to talk about bottom up. So the base stone for the wall, or for the base stone for the New Jerusalem, is jasper, and its energetic assistance is protection, strength, and stability. Physical assistance is pelvic and reproductive organs.
And that would be the root chakra.
The root, exactly. It would be the root. The next one is Sardis, carnelian. Okay, carnelian, yes. This one is passion, sexual energy, and creativity. This is in the physical assistance. It's sacral and reproductive organs and digestive. So that would be your sacral energy center or chakra. Next is tiger's eye, one of my favorites. I love tiger's eye. This is courage, willpower, self-motivation, and its physical assistance is the navel, the stomach, and the digestive. So this would also then be linked to your place of personal power, your solar plexus energy center or chakra. Next one, moss agate. This is green. Its energetic assistance is contentment. You know what? I'll quit faking it. All right.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, it does say contentment. Cool. Contentment, abundance, harmony in nature. And physically, it's in the heart or the navel. Adventurine, which is another green stone, its energetic assistance is abundance, well-being, gratitude, and that's also associated with your heart. Rose quartz, emotional healing, balance, love, associated with your heart, your lungs, and your chest. Fluorite, another beautiful one. This is renewal, energy, and balance, and this is related to your entire body. Onyx, we talked about that quite a bit today. This is for protection, well-being, and balance, and it's associated with your mind, your full body, and sleep. And we have amethyst, purple, love it. This is for your intuition, higher wisdom, and revelation. Physical is mind, mental clarity, and sleep. And finally, crystal quartz, one of my favorites. Your energetic assistance. So keep in mind, the crystal quartz now we're talking about being the top of the wall, the top of the city. Maybe all of the buildings are capped with quartz crystal or crystal quartz, right? Now we also know that quartz crystal can be used as an antenna. You actually have carbonite crystals in your brain inside your pineal gland, and what happens when you put pressure on a crystal? You get something called the piezoelectric effect. Any kind of manual pressure on a crystal is going to cause it to, quote unquote, turn on a little electrical charge, a little vibrational charge. So as you pressure off, you're creating a beacon.
Wow.
Or an antenna.
It's like an antenna.
Yes. So crystal quartz Energetic assistance is spiritual awareness and clarity, and physical assistance is brain health, mind, and sleep.
Now, all of these crystals don't follow the exact wall itself. Some of them are different names or different things, but we do have jasper, which is the red stone at the foundation, and then we have the emerald, which is the fourth one up, which would be the green stones, and it does end with the 12th one, so there's 12 layers of stones, which ends with an amethyst.
Yes.
And then the crystal is very, very, there's a phenomenon which I haven't studied, but the city was pure gold like unto clear glass, so it would have been a crystalline glass type thing. And then the sea of glass was a sea of crystal.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some sort of consciousness there, because oceans represent consciousness. So it was like the consciousness of humanity was going to go through that spark.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
That antenna.
Yep.
It's beautiful. And the best, one of my favorites in this is the gates of pearl. Pearl is actually the stone of portals and of like going from one dimension to the other. Many times the Bible talks about pearl being the gates of pearl.
Have you ever heard of the pearly gates?
Yes.
Oh,
It's going into another dimension.
There's one for you.
Reality.
Whoever
Yes.
came up with that, I mean, is that biblical, the pearly gates? I don't know that it is.
The gates of pearl.
The
They
gates of
nicknamed
pearl,
them. They
okay.
nicknamed them the pearly gates.
Okay. All right, that's
Now,
fair.
I also found out that these walls were made of jasper. Part of them were made of jasper, and jasper is a protection stone. And there's a Bible verse that says, "Nothing will enter into the city that is of a low vibration." Those who are inauthentic, those who tell lies, those who have low intentions. So that jasper is sort of like that protection stone where, if we can bring it down to our physical reality, when we come across negative people, you want to have a grounding stone, because it does carry an energy of, no, you can't come here.
No,
You
stay
can't come
back.
here.
Yeah,
So
you're
I
not
like
welcomed
that.
here. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So the wall was then, it was actually a metaphorical wall. By using jasper, you kept that negativity out, whether it was a free-flowing negative energy, or whether it was attached to a person.
Which is why, God never sends people to hell, or it's literally the vibrations that you choose and your actions that choose whether you get to be initiated and you get received. Is it going to be a balance for you to come in, for us to go into the New Jerusalem?
Yeah.
We have to find our own balance on earth to be initiated.
Right.
And it's just the flow of the universe.
It is. And I would also, now I'm going to get really freaky and woo-woo on you, but I would also say that finding that New Jerusalem, that new earth, heaven, whatever you want to call it, first of all,
Here. On earth.
first of all, don't go looking for it in your external surroundings. It's not going to be there. You're never going to find it out here. It's all in here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can only get to it by finding that balance. That's when you, that's a really bad way of putting it.
No, I thought that was good.
It's not a
finding your
matter
inner
of,
peace.
well, I mean, getting to it is
Yes.
kind of like, making it your journey or your adventure. But it is like that. That's what we would call our spiritual adventure, trying to or striving to get to that place of balance, peace and harmony, high vibration. And once you reach that, some call it enlightenment. Some call it
Nirvana.
Yeah.
Others call it heaven.
Others call it heaven.
Heaven on earth.
But you will find that, but you're going to find it in here, not anywhere out here. That's
beautiful.
That's my opinion on it anyway.
What a beautiful way to end this.
Oh, are we done?
Well, I mean, we don't have to be, but I just think we covered some amazing topics
We
here.
did. I agree, and I think we done the crystals good.
Yes.
One of my favorite topics. I really do like rocks.
Yes, and maybe we could plan a sequel
Uh-huh.
where you could teach a little bit more about some of your crystal grids one day.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to do that. And the other thing I'd like to do is probably get somebody who is a professional who really knows their stuff about crystals. For me, it's more of a hobby.
Okay.
But there are people out there who, basically that's what they do for their profession.
Wow.
Is
that would be amazing.
recommend crystal medicine.
Yes. Crystal medicine.
Yeah.
I love it.
Crystal medicine. This has been fun, Ruth. As always, I really appreciate this. This has been great.
Yes, thank
and
you,
again,
Cory.
Anybody who's interested, take a look at Ruth's book. It's got a lot of really cool stuff in it. I just do want to say one other thing, by the way. This podcast is not about religion. That's not what we're trying to push. It's not what we're trying to tear down. Ruth and I both happen to come from Christian backgrounds. That's why we like to look at what the Bible says and then really look at what the Bible is saying. Mm-hmm. For reals. Mm-hmm. So we're not trying to push any type of agenda here or anything like that. And we're open to anybody's opinion on anything spiritual or religious, and we're not for or against anybody or anyone or anyone's beliefs. So just want to make sure that was clear to everybody. It just happens to be an area that Ruth and I are both familiar with, and that's why the last these first 3 episodes so far have focused on mostly biblically spiritual stuff and what the Bible says about certain things. So crystals, last time we did divination, mm-hmm. And I think the first one we did was also a little bit about divination as well, and yes. What the Bible says about it. So thanks for watching. We really appreciate each and every one of you.
Yes, and until next time, we will see you later. Bye.
Cheers.